anything we've seen in this tournament so far.
Yeah, for sure. And ThatRareGamer is not too shabby himself, sitting at a 112.56 PB. Oh, and there we go. The racers are underway, just as we're telling you about how good they are. But yeah, I mean, even though ThatRareGamer's PB is a little over 5 minutes behind Vallu, he's not a shabby racer himself, clearly. And so, this being a race, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say anything can happen. Don't place your bets just yet.
For sure. No, a 112 is certainly still a very respectable time in this
Mm-hmm.
category.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people floating in that 112 range are still kind of at the point where they have a lot of improvement they can make with their consistency. And that's kind of the stage where we can still potentially see a decent PB, even in a
Mm-hmm.
race setting.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that is still important to note about this game is that it is pretty darn new, 6-7 weeks old, and there's still that a wider bell curve of consistency here. In that hey, you might see the lower end of the spectrum one day, you might see the higher end, and even though you might be seeing oh, he's a 112 player, but then he just pulls out a 110 randomly because he's still improving and narrowing the gap of the spectrum and under which he plays. So all kinds of different things can happen.
I mean, just looking at his splits here, it looks like his PB is about 2 minutes off of summer best. So,
oh yeah,
that's usually a sign that there's still some good improvement to be made. So yeah, we'll see if he can keep pace with a real top runner in Vallu here.
Yeah. But see, so here's Vallu going off to the left, doing the trying to do the new shade and triple jump strats. Not quite getting the triple jump each time. ThatRareGamer not going to sweat it, just going off to the right there. Oh, and there's Vallu nailing that really, really hard jump. I would know. I was practicing it.
Just
That's
barely
impressive.
making it over that rail.
Yeah. It's so tight. Gets the fast cycle on the boss as well. See if ThatRareGamer can't do it. It's close behind. Yep. This is a race, ladies and gentlemen. Whew. Yeah, even though Vallu had a little bit of a mishap trying to get the fast strat going there, it worked out in the end. Dang, that's like what, a day old, 2 days old, and he's pulling it out in a race. What a hero.
Yeah, I mean,
jeez.
I know Vallu's been kind of getting back into the game the last few days, but I think been practicing a lot. So, but he's like we said, he's high level, so I expect to see him going for things that maybe nobody else has gone for in races so far.
Yeah,
he is the #1 overall seed in this tournament.
Yes, he is. It's true. But I just, I think that's such a testament to, I mean, again, this game's only been out for a little over a month and a half, but he's been like just the top tier premier player the entire time, and he's not afraid to show his guns.
For sure, and a super experienced Mario speedrunner, being the world record holder in Galaxy Games and for the 602.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he's
that nuts category. Yeah, just coming up on the Dino Skip. It's been treating some runners varying levels of well, I would say, over the course of the tournament. Let's see.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people have been not struggling too much with the Dino Jump, just from the races I've personally watched. But it can strike at any moment.
I don't think it's so much failing the jump itself as it is just finding your foot on the trampoline is where most runners are having struggles here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you have to kind of place it, but Vallu, not deterred, just gets it first try. See if ThatRareGamer can do it as well. And Vallu probably pulling out the fast strats in the boss. There's the jump. Very nicely done.
Yeah, Vallu, a really quick cycle here with the boss fight where he throws his hat and then takes a little step to the side and backflips on the boss, and while he's still in the air, the hat is returning to him and it knocks the hat off the chain chomp. And it's just an incredibly fast way to get through this fight.
Yeah, it's all done in one fluid motion where, normally you might see someone who's just learning this fight jump on the chain chomp to stomp it and then throw the hat to knock off the chain chomp's hat and then throw the hat again to capture it.
much like the Rare Gamer is going
Mhm.
for right here.
Which, you know, it is still the intermediate level. It's not, you know, you're no noob to the game.
Yeah, it's still a good fast strat, but those are the kind of small differences you're probably going to notice between these two runners, because that's kind of those little, you know, 1 or 2 second time saves here or there are what starts to separate the 112 guys from the 107 guys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, you know, yeah, I would say, you know, at least 80, 85% of this game is just movement based, and how clean, how fluid is your movement. And, you know, definitely as you get to the upper tiers, it's just going to be looking really, really clean and slick, and, you know, generally no problems, but, like, you know, they are human. Anything can happen again.
So they're both going to come up on towards the end of the Cascade Kingdom here, and I like to emphasize this. Most races we're going to see, there's not going to be too much of a difference by the end of the Cascade Kingdom, because it's only 6 minutes into the run, and there's not anything too complicated that goes on quite yet.
Hmm.
But we're going to enter the Sand Kingdom now, and that's where things can really start to get dicey for some runners. There's a lot of little movement things that you can mess up and lose big chunks of time on. So this is typically where we'll start to see some separation, and if Rare can keep pace with Vallu through the Sand Kingdom, he's going to set himself up nicely to keep this race close as long as possible.
Hmm. You know, there's always a comment made in every single race, and I'm going to make it now. Is that, you know, there are an abundance of routes to choose within the Sand Kingdom, which moons you want to collect to, you know, meet the requirements to progress onto the Lake Kingdom. But you know, and because there have been so many different routes, you know, runners like to choose. Oh well, I want to choose this route because, you know, I've gotten really consistent on it and I understand it really well, and I won't make mistakes. Whereas if I change it, then I might be a little bit of adjustment period, but, you know, play it safe for the race. And then on top of that, there's like the strats, so to speak, is, you know, oh well, if you want to do the Sphinx, do you want to try to clip into the loading zone, or you just want to talk to the Sphinx normally? There's all different kinds of variations in the Sand Kingdom route, which will affect the run overall. So you see huge divergence between runners here generally.
And the first way you can kind of tell what kind of route the runner's going to take is how they handle this bird at the beginning. Vallu gets up to that first moon very quickly, so opts to go straight into the pipe. And we'll see if he opts to get the bird here or if he'll get it in the Oasis later in the run. And it looks
Mhm.
like he will get it later.
And
I do believe Vallu goes for Sphinx Clip, so we'll see
yeah.
if he opts to do that in a race setting.
Hmm. Getting that Sphinx clip means that you go into the loading zone and then come back and reload the Sand Kingdom map. And so you reset the timer on the bird. You'll be able to meet it in the Oasis. But the Rare Gamer does collect it right there on the building in the town before heading into the pipe. So he'll
Yeah,
already have it
so
done.
perhaps a sign that Rare will be going for a route that doesn't include the Sphinx, or perhaps just going for the bird early there for safety's sake. Because if you do go for it in the Oasis and miss it, it's going to set you back quite a bit of time.
Hmm.
Oh, and Rare actually going for the employees only moon, which is
Yeah.
a really old route at this point. I know the game's only been out for less than 2 months, but
It's such an old route. God.
considering the lifetime of the game, it's an old route. So
Hmm.
we determined that this moon is pretty slow compared to a replacement we found, which is
Yeah.
the one that Val is about to go for right now. He's going to take this bullet bill over to this pillar and grab the
Hmm.
moon over there.
Yeah, and that was some pretty slick maneuvering. He's able to maneuver the bullet bill into homing into Mario to keep it alive so he could get it on that cycle as opposed to waiting for the next one. So nice movement by Vallu. I do want to make just a comment again, you know, sometimes it's the movement here because there's not a lot of movement to get that employees only moon, but it's just that loading zone time, right?
Yeah,
And
well, you
so
actually have two loading zones because you got to
exactly,
enter the
yeah.
building and exit.
Hmm.
So that and especially if you're playing on a physical copy of the game, that your loading times are even slower. Although
Yeah.
relatively insignificant, but every little bit counts.
I'm still going to say you want to avoid it. There's been some discussion in the community. Oh, there's Vallu getting the
Yeah,
Sphinx clip.
looked like
Nice.
second try Sphinx clips,
Hmm.
so pretty good there. Probably still save time over the other route with that.
Yeah, I would
'Cause
guess so.
it was a fast second try.
And then there's Rare Gamer getting the bullet bill manipulation. But there's been some, discussion in the community. Whew, you almost missed that. For some reason, it seems like Valu's load times are a little bit fast, a few frames faster than everyone else's. We don't quite know why. So if you can cut out some load times facing Valu, that's probably for your benefit.
For sure. Oh, Vallu accidentally runs into the wall there,
Ooh, no.
trying to take this bullet bill over to the block in the corner
Yeah.
here that has a moon in it.
Yeah, that's a little hexagon platform. The corner extends. I swear it extends just a little bit further than it looks like it does, so it's very easy to crash bullet bills into it.
Yeah, and those bullet bills are relatively difficult to control, especially when you're trying to use like the speed boost and move them faster.
Hmm. I see some Vallu cheating confirmed in the chat. That's not actually true. We're trying to figure out what's going on, but since he was out for about a week or so, didn't have a chance to confirm with him. Hey, is this how your Switch is set up, and so on. So it was just like, hey, he saves 2 frames every loading or whatever. So it was kind of one of those oddities.
I've seen some theories as crazy as, oh, Vallu plays with his Joy-Cons disconnected from the Switch, so that might help the loading
It could
time.
be anything, you
But,
know.
like,
We don't know.
we have no idea.
Yeah. That's the only theory we have so far. Here's Vallu. He's gonna miss the bird. Oh, and the ThatRareGamer failing the skip onto the Jaxi Ruin is gonna fall into the purple goo, lose some 10 coins there. Vallu. Oh, he can chase down the bird. Very nice. Yeah, so again, coins do matter here. The 10 coin setback from the ThatRareGamer is not insignificant. He's gonna have to save up. Oh, the bonk again, losing
Fails
the
it
10
again.
coins. Mm-hmm. He's gonna have
This
to save up
this
his
jump isn't
coins.
the tightest in the run, but it can still it can hurt you. And I feel like typically if you fail this jump once, you tend to your setup gets messed up a little bit. You're coming in at maybe a different angle, and you get flustered, and you can miss it again. But he'll get it the third try there, so
Mm-hmm.
some unfortunate time loss, but certainly could be made up.
Oh yeah. And you did see him there use the bullet bill to run through that ghost moon to grab the 5 coins from it, because those deaths do send him back quite a few coins. He does want to make sure he has enough to purchase moons in both the Wooded Kingdom and the Snow Kingdom. So gonna keep an eye on his coin counter here.
So sitting at 95 coins here, he should be safe
Mm-hmm.
to just collect a few more in the Lake Kingdom and have plenty for buying the shop moon in Wooded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some more new spicy movement here in the Lake Kingdom that I'm sure we're going to see out of Vallu. It used to be the case that we would try a triple jump or a ground pound jump up to a cap dive on this ledge, but he's going to throw his cap and just walk up to it and bounce off of it for his initial jump there. Saves a little bit of time. It's all the little optimizations there.
So Lake Kingdom is a pretty short one. There's not too much crazy stuff going on here, but Vallu's gonna collect a few more moons here and capture a cheap to do a nice little jump up to the boss platform, which kind of avoids going all the way around the level. Cuts out a lot of that path up to the boss.
Mm-hmm. It also helps that there are a good number of moons down here. Usually, kingdoms are a little restricted in their moon availability before you progress the story in each kingdom, and so routing options can be a little limited. But decent number of moons down here underwater, which helps a little bit because traveling as a cheap is a lot faster underwater than swimming as Mario.
For sure.
He's gonna come up on this cheap jump. So he's gonna use the cheap to gain extra height out of the water, jump out of it, wall kick, and dive onto the flower. Well done.
And he's just gonna kind of backflip onto this Brutal's head a few times to cut all these cycles short. So makes these boss fights a lot faster and a lot more consistent and easier to complete.
Yeah, almost all these bosses can be, quick cycled in some way or another. Here it's just literally sit on top of his head as soon as he becomes targetable, and he won't be able to do anything. Yeah, but that'll be the Lake Kingdom. It's one of the shortest kingdoms in the game, clocking it at just over 3 minutes total. So not too many ways to lose time there, I should say.
So you see there that he actually got what's called a multi-moon from that boss fight, and that's the advantage of doing some of the boss fights is those count for 3 moons, and since you need a fixed number of moons to exit each kingdom, if you can get to the boss fight quickly, and if it's a fast fight, then getting those 3 moons is going to give you a very low average time per moon, and it's going to help you get out of the kingdom really quickly. And especially in a kingdom like Lake where there isn't too many options of moons to collect. And how this game works is as you complete story moons, it'll unlock more moons just like dispersed throughout the kingdom. So after beating that boss, there, I believe, are more moons that are sent out through the Lake Kingdom that you can collect. So there's only a handful that we can get before then. So rather than doing the boss fight and then trying to collect moons afterwards, because we have to warp all the way back to the Odyssey and then go through the level again, it's faster to just collect all the ones that are available right away.
Yeah, routing options can be definitely pretty limited for some of these kingdoms before doing the story, so we try to get what we can. RareGamer ran into a little bit of trouble on Rango there, but is able to clinch it out without facing death.
So Vallu's sitting nice with 144 coins. That's gonna not only put him, have enough coins to buy this moon here, but it's gonna put him in good position to buy a moon in Snow Kingdom later. Having 44 now, he should have plenty of. He might not even have to go to Seaside before Snow with having that many coins. But
yeah, he's got, what, 3 or 4 kingdoms between him and having to buy another moon. I think, there's plenty of coins that you just naturally accumulate along the way. If he really wants to, he can go to Seaside, but I don't think he'll have to here.
assuming, of course, he doesn't take any untimely deaths or anything of the sort.
It's always a risk in some of the spookier areas.
Especially like Lost Kingdom can
Yeah.
really put a dampen on those plans for anyone of any skill level.
I'm just hoping that we don't see any more people pulling a pie and going down into the deep woods.
Yeah, that I was watching that race. That was truly unfortunate, but
Oh, man.
he has an extensive knowledge of the moons that are down there.
Yeah, I
and
know.
he's able to recover relatively nicely.
If anyone is to fall down there and have it not be totally a disaster scenario, it's pie. But man,
So Vallu taking damage there in the pipe.
Yeah.
Ideally, you can get through this entire section without taking damage. And
Ooh, taking 2 hits of damage actually.
the reason that's significant is, as you'll see here, you get healed after every moon, and it has that whole animation where your health pops up in the middle of the screen and then floats all the way to the top. And that loses about 2 to 2.5 seconds depending on what your health is at. And so not the best pipe section from Vallu there, taking damage on both sections. So he probably lost a total of about 5 seconds throughout that whole section, as well as just being late to the end.
Yeah, it's actually super punishing to take damage in this game, especially in water like that. He got hit by the fuzzies, so you can't control Mario during the damage animation. And then in water, you end up actually floating down even further, during which you can't control him. And then you're punished again with that time when you get the moon. It's just, it feels so very frustrating as a runner to have to take damage, or, to be in a situation where you unintentionally take damage like that. It just loses so much time. It feels like you can't do anything about it once you've actually taken the hit.
Yeah, it feels like the bonking underwater just really feels like it takes an eternity to get up from. It's one of the
horrible.
most painful things.
Yeah. So there's Vallu successfully avoiding the deep woods, thank God. And here's RareGamer going to be coming up on his own pipe section. I've seen a couple of runners do this damage list, but waiting a little bit for the water cycle. I know there is a slightly faster way of doing it, not waiting for the water cycle, but taking damage before the second moon. So there's a lot of variations.
You can make it through without taking damage and by skipping the cycle with a pretty tight hat jump.
It's super, super tough. You're just going to wait for the water cycle, though. Not going to worry about it too much.
And we'll take damage anyway.
Yeah, if you are moving or doing anything with Mario, he will automatically float up. As Vallu makes a really spooky-looking jump. Makes it look like no problem at all, heading over to this one nut. Yeah, I should note, both of these runners elected to do the pipe section first and then make this climb up the cliff here, but it's actually possible to do it in reverse order. At a little bit of a time loss, depending on how good your movement is climbing back up this wall. So you'll see some variation generally, but both these runners choose to do the same thing. And they're just possessing these uproots here, which are the capture targets in the Wooded Kingdom, allow you to stand on some super tall stilt legs and gain some height. You can use the motion controls to gain some additional height, which is very, very useful for almost all the moons you actually get with the uproot, I think.
Yeah, kind of a trend with the capturable enemies in this game is a lot of them have like actions you can do with the X or Y button, and typically using motion controls will allow you to do those actions either faster or just more efficiently for a speedrunning sense. So in the case of the uproot, you shoot up a little bit higher and you also get to the peak of your height faster than if you were just holding X or Y.
Yeah, it's definitely the case that even without the capture targets, motion controls are generally just better for speedrunning. Rolling is the fastest ground movement in the game. It's even faster if you're shaking a controller like a maniac, rolling even faster. So just all kinds of motion controls in this game that runners truly adore.
Yes, nobody has ever said a bad thing about motion
Oh,
controls.
no, never, never.
And they work perfectly every time the way you want them to.
Kappa. So there's Vallu made some quick work of the Spewart boss fight, closing out his Wooded Kingdom, as RareGamer makes the climb up to Spewart himself. He's going to possess an uproot here and enjoy those sweet, sweet motion controls. Yeah, looks like he's going to have a fade out just before the 21-minute mark there for Vallu. That's
So
super
yeah,
quick.
he's actually tied with his PB right now. So a really good run from him so far.
He is on PB pace. That's always a scary thing to hear about Vallu.
And you see Mario wanted to go to the Metro Kingdom, but we're going to take a little detour and have our first fight with Bowser here.
I'm going to take a moment to note that Vallu did take the time to collect these coins in the Spewart fight. He's sitting at 70 coins now, so he's sitting pretty. RareGamer going to be, also collecting these coins, but in a little bit more of a deficit.
Yeah, 40 or 46 coins is still a really good coin count to have at this point. It's like
still recoverable.
You can always go to Seaside and finish up collecting coins if need be.
Vallu is going to go for the super fast strats. Oh, he does, and he gets it. Whew. Not many times it's not pulled out in a run. Or in a race, I should say. Excuse me. But yeah, so there are existing, quote-unquote normal fast strats. We would cancel a cycle of this Bowser fight. Oh, Vallu didn't quite get the early grab there. But this is an even faster strat than the quote-unquote normal fast cycle. Trying to get these hats as soon as humanly possible to start damaging Bowser before he jumps away and does some shockwaves and all sorts of fun stuff.
So yeah, he unfortunately missed an entire phase there by not getting the hat in the correct manner. So he'll get set back a little bit there, and we'll see if Rare can have a little bit better of a Bowser fight to make up some of that time.
Yeah, it's especially risky for some of these harder strats if you do fail it, because just the fact that you went for it in the first place and you didn't get it means that you're just going to lose some time no matter what you do if you don't execute on it perfectly, versus just doing the normal proven track record way of working and then just getting it consistently. So there's a lot of risk reward with some of these strategies that Vallu's trying to pull off.
And Vallu gets the tree jump at the beginning of Lost Kingdom there very nicely, and it's a really fast strat up to the butterfly as well. So a really solid start to this kingdom for Vallu.
He didn't get memed this time.
Yeah, the meme
this time. It's always a 50-50 whether or not the meme tree is gonna deliver or take away from your run.
I personally call this the meme tree 2.0 coming up here, because there's been a couple times where I've kind of dove right over the moon or dove too low and bonked and fell into this little purple goop and taken a death. And that is generally a run killer.
Yeah, and deaths here before you intend. There is one intentional death abuse later on in the Lost Kingdom towards the end, but if you take a death before you mean to, you'll end up going all the way back to the Odyssey and having to circumnavigate the path all the way around again, because you can't go the normal way in this kingdom, or else you trigger a cutscene in which that bird, Klepto, takes away Cappy. You have to go through a sequence in a fight and get him back, but...
Yeah, and you got to do some platforming up to where the bird is perched on his little platform, and platforming without Cappy is obviously much tougher, because you don't have quite the freedom of movement that you would normally otherwise have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very slow process, and just making a path around the kingdom just avoids that entirely, and it's much better.
Yeah, so here's where Vallu is at. It used to be intentional death abuse, but now this normal strat is just, nah, I don't want to die. It saves about, what, a second or two, I think?
Yeah, and also saves 10 coins. So
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good strat, but tough to pull off. Because what happens there is, because he did a hat bounce before grabbing the moon, but every time you grab a moon, all of your in-air actions get reset. So you can hat bounce, grab a moon, and then hat bounce again. Whereas otherwise, you'd only normally be able to hat bounce one time in the air without landing.
Yeah, it's actually useful a lot here in the Lost Kingdom. Like, here RareGamer he has, if he hadn't thrown his hat, he would have had a reset hat throw from that moon and just been able to throw and dive off the hat again. So a lot of slick uses. You can, not only the Lost Kingdom, but every other kingdom for right after you collect a moon, you have many more platforming options available to you.
RareGamer is off to a similarly strong start in the Lost Kingdom here.
And here, Vallu is in the Metro Kingdom at the nighttime. It wants you to do is kind of a story sequence. You go off to the left, fight some tanks, fight your way through a gauntlet of enemies, but he's just going to jump up onto an awning and platform his way all the way on the other side of the arena from where the game wants you to go. Very slick. And one of two, I should say, of the points of this Dark Metro sequence, which are of interest, Vallu's coming up on the long climb up the town hall. It's kind of a platforming, barrage where you have to maneuver your way up without falling down and navigating these elevators, which are on a cycle, and it's super tough timing to get down, but he makes it onto that elevator. He's going to platform his way up. And after this, he's going to be facing a boss fight, which also has the potential to meme many a runner.
I would say the tough part of this is the platforming isn't necessarily much harder than any other point in the game. It's just there's a lot of stuff that's on a cycle in this room.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, most places, if you kind of miss time and jump a little bit, you're gonna lose a couple seconds, but you'll be okay. But in this room, like any mishap whatsoever, and there's a really solid chance that you're gonna fall all the way back down to the bottom of the room, or potentially even take a death. So getting up to that room cleanly the first try is of good importance for a good mindset for the rest of the level, I think.
Yeah, it just keeps you in a good spot. You're not doing anything too terribly risky that's gonna set you back. It just it feels nice to not do it. In a way that's gonna throw you off.
Yeah, and Rare actually comes through with a gold segment on the Lost Kingdom, so
yeah,
that's very solid work from him. And Vallu, you can see he's kind of running into these corners. That's gonna help manipulate the Wiggler to go to this particular wall that he's gonna shoot to now. Because on this phase, he'll always run around to this wall before shooting up on the wall. So if you just have him go there naturally, it's going to save you time over just randomly running around and avoiding the Wiggler.
And I was going to try to kill the Wiggler on this cycle here, or else he's going to have to wait through another invulnerability period. See if he can kill these segments in time.
It looked a little bad at first, but you can just pull out the
yeah.
A nice recovery there.
RareGamer is struggling a little bit with this awning jump here, try to get scale this building.
Yeah, this is one of the tougher jumps in the run. I'd say there's maybe 3 or 4 notable ones that can really mess people up.
Yeah, that's one of them.
You don't know some of the finer points of getting the most height possible out of your hat jumps. These jumps are pretty tight, so any little mistake can put you at just a little too low to dive up onto the ledge.
Yeah, so Vallu finishing up that Mecha Wiggler fight unlocks the daytime Metro, where since you've done, most of the important story here, the whole kingdom is opened up to you, and you can go around collecting all these moons, which is really nice because you need 20 total to advance past the Metro Kingdom. Now he got 5 in the nighttime. He's gonna need 15 more. There's the first one.
Yeah, this is one of the more extreme examples of completing a story moon, opening up a lot more options for you, because in Nighttime Metro, I think there's only 3 active moons, 3 or 4. But you know, once all you have to do is do that one boss fight, and you'll open up probably at least 30 to 40 moons in this first daytime section.
A little bit of difficulty there with the RC car, but he manages to back it up successfully.
Yeah, the controls on the RC car are a little awkward because the way you have to control it is you use the left stick to move forward or backwards, and you use the right stick to steer left and right. So it's not quite a conventional steering scheme. So it throws a lot of people off, especially when they first start playing this game.
It's super awkward. That's
Yeah,
a good bench from Vallu.
I mean it's like learning to drive an actual car, like learning how to drive that thing well. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen many people lose up to 10, 20, even 30 seconds trying to get that RC car moon.
Mm-hmm. And we did gloss over it back before, but before the Mech Wiggler fight, it's important that runners grab that checkpoint on the top of that building because they are going to want to teleport there, like Vallu just did, to grab some of the higher up moons into the kingdom. You know, these are skyscrapers. It's a metro city. You gotta get up high and collect moons from a random dumpster on top of a. Yeah, okay, sounds legit.
Yeah, and that moon he warped from is one that's kind of out of the way, and it allows it to be put in the route. Because if trying to, roll back out of that little girder would be pretty time consuming, and there's also not really any moons directly close by to that. So by getting that checkpoint, we really don't go out of the way for it at all because it's right outside that door we come out to get to the Wiggler fight. Like you said, there are a lot of moons up on top of these buildings here that allow us to, get close to our total to finish off the level.
And there's ThatRareGamer successfully getting the 2-cycle on the Mecha Wiggler, trying to avoid as many stakes as possible. Keeping up as good a pace as he possibly can.
So this room here is one that I personally really did not understand at first because I didn't realize you could just roll right up against this wall here. I was trying to, dive over and roll in between all these people.
You can
just getting frustrated from getting stuck. Sometimes if you get caught on people that are just turning into the exit, you'll get stuck between the two of them and you just won't be able to move out from them. So once I saw that you can just roll up against that right wall, it made my life infinitely easier.
It's super hilarious, though. I don't know if you've ever tried just jumping off the heads of people from one to the other, and it looks like Mario's just slam dunking everyone's head. It looks hilarious.
Yeah, he kind of puts his head down and gets the push off.
It's just the whap, 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 whap. It's super hilarious, but unfortunately, we don't get to see that in the run.
So, an unfortunate thing that isn't included in this run is the festival, where you get to see that the theme song of the game and everything, and it's a great 2D party. But we're just gonna talk to Pauline, and you're meant to get 4 drummers for the band for the festival. We're just gonna get 2 of them because they're actually convenient moons to get, and that's actually gonna be the last thing we do in the level. And then so Val's gonna come up and get this moon from this little hunk of metal, and then
I think it's actually the dead Mecha Wiggler squeezing it for one last moon before we talk to the bassist, who seems to say something interesting.
Everybody's favorite meme word.
Where are the OTEPs in the chat?
And that will be the conclusion of Metro for Vallu. He's just gonna warp back to the Odyssey from Town Hall here, as ThatRareGamer's making his way through Day Metro. I like to think of this warp as kind of the halfway point. I don't know if it's actually time-wise the halfway point, but just like mentally for me, I know I'm like, okay, I'm like through a good chunk of this level. And I'm like in the home stretch.
Yeah, certainly the next 7 moons or so seem to go by, super, super quick, super snappy.
That's in general, since there's so many moons to collect in this run. It seems like you're picking up a new moon every like 10 seconds or so. It is more than that. There's more time in between than that, but it feels very fast paced.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it looks like Vallu did indeed have enough coins, so he's going to be moving on to the Snow Kingdom.
To Snow Kingdom. And it looks like he kind of had that in his plans because
all calculated.
Yeah, very calculated.
Oh no, I misread the menuing.
Oh, okay, so it looks like I would say typically.
I thought he had enough coins. Is he short? He's short
Wow.
9. Oh, he could have gone to snow.
He could have gone to
I'm
snow.
disappointed.
He could have gone just a little bit out of his way to get some coins there, but
Yeah.
overall going to be a more economical decision to just take the one little menu option to Seaside, and you're naturally going to get 40 to 50 coins at minimum in this level. So always a good decision to come here before snow.
But now his splits are all messed up. How will he live?
Yeah, that's
Ah, well. Nonetheless, you cannot do those kingdoms in either order. It doesn't really matter. The only quote-unquote time loss you get from doing Seaside first is the time it takes to menu down from snow and press the A button, as opposed to just mashing A to go to snow immediately. So super, super insignificant time loss, I would say.
So he's gonna pick up all these notes and get a move from this, and from here on out, he's gonna capture a Gushin enemy to get over to a Cheap enemy, and that Cheap is gonna take us through the rest of this level. This being mostly a water level. A lot of the moons are underwater, and like we mentioned earlier, swimming with the Cheap is much faster than trying to brave it as Mario.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the routing here in a second because it's a little bit interesting. But let's not forget that the Rare Gamer is coming up on the second OTEP here. We need to be ready, chat. OTEP? Yay! But yeah, it used to be the case that now we get most of the moons in Seaside underwater using the Cheap. You get a couple of over on the beach side, on the cliff side first, and then you move into the water. It used to be, the other way around. We would get almost all of our moons on the cliff side, use a Gushin to gain some height there, and we wanted to avoid the water at all costs. But it wasn't until we found some more of these moons, understood the routing a little better, and found that nice tunnel that Vallu passed through with all those coins. We're like, hey, this could be a pretty good route. I think it was I Ate Your Pie actually that suggested, hey, we're neglecting all these moons here. Let's go do that. And so that's just been kind of the route ever since, trying to nudge people into the water. Say, hey guys, it's fine.
So in that Metro for Rare, he unfortunately struggled a little bit on the jump at the very beginning of Dark Metro, but other than that, I would say a really clean kingdom for him. And we'll see him head up to Seaside as well, just as Vallu is finishing it up. It's a pretty short kingdom, so it's a full kingdom lead, but it's one of the shorter kingdoms, so it's not at a really outrageous lead, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. If I had to guess, I'd say, 3.5 minute lead for Vallu here, 4 minute lead, something like that. Yeah, but there's Rare Gamer showing that he is a contender, making that really tough jump. Actually, that's we're talking about the jumps that can really make front runners stumble up when they're first learning him, trying to get it consistently. That cliffside was definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the cave moon coming up after this pipe section as well is another one that can trip you up. Not as much as the first cliffside moon, but it's more so just the depth perception that can throw you off and lose you time because you'll fall back to the bottom of this little cave here.
Ooh, nice recovery by Rare Gamer there.
Yeah, I managed to just get a last second dive in to grab that moon.
Now it's interesting. Vallu's coming up here on Captain Toad, who is actually the only active moon out here in the Blizzard. This Blizzard is active while you are yet to complete the story moons, and so you have to enter the town of Shiveria generally to get most of the limited number of available moons. But out here in the Blizzard, Captain Toad is with us through it all. We salute you, Captain Toad.
Yeah, and for a while we had no idea that Captain Toad was even active out there at this point. So finding out he was there kind of spurred a route change that saved a good chunk of time on this level as well. Because this is another one. I think there's only 13 or so active moons before the first story moon in this kingdom. So, and you need 10 to leave the level. So the routing is pretty tight in here.
Yeah, not a lot of room for variation. So, generally not a huge amount of discrepancy between runners' times and Snow Kingdom aside from just, player consistency. But yeah, so here's Rare Gamer coming up on his final 100 coins to buy the moon that Vallu just purchased in the Snow Kingdom. Head up to some slick platforming here. Grab the chest up top. As ThatRareGamer is looking to close out his Seaside Kingdom with only 3 more moons. Oh yeah, the painting moon on the cliffside is open, but we don't do that in a 1-player run, chat. Specifically, Tones. I know it's Tones. Tones is the only one who would mention that. Come on, Tones.
Oh, Vallu takes a death in this room here. That's, for some weird reason, that's a common death that I see. Myself, I do it a lot too. It's I don't know what it is about this room, but mistimed jumps there are pretty easy to come across.
Yeah, I think he's trying to pull the swag strats again, and that's one of those things you can, aim one of your jumps to land, jump off that narrow little railing, gain some time to land these gust enemy cycles. I think what are these guys called? I don't know.
Typhoons, I think,
Typhoons,
or typhoons.
that's the one. Yeah. So he tries to make that cycle and misses it the first time, but he makes a recovery. Not too much time lost for him.
So Vallu come up on my personal least favorite room in the run, the Goomba room. This room can be really frustrating because there's a switch you have to activate by capturing Goomba and making a stack of 4 Goombas and standing on the switch. And there's only 4 in this room. Like, there's no extra ones. So if you accidentally come up here and jump on one of their heads, you'll kill them, and you'll have to leave the room and come back in to get it to respawn. So, it's the kind of thing where you don't even need to die to lose a lot of time.
I guess one of the nice things, though, while you're maneuvering here is that, so this room is subject to ice physics on the floor. When you're playing as the Goombas, they do not slip on the ground, so you can just kind of, walk normally before you leave them and then have to maneuver yourself over these long jumps while dealing with the ice, which Vallu does beautifully. Looks like ThatRareGamer is talking to a snow wall, but there's Captain Toad in the end.
And you see you just kicked a little bit of that snow out from underneath. The text triggers are so wide in this game that you can actually talk to Captain Toad there without touching any of the snow. So he's just behind a wall of snow, and you're kind of yelling into the void, "Hey Toad, are you in there?
Can I have a moon, please? Thanks." Yeah, but here's Vallu going into the last room to collect 1 quick moon for leading the Snow Kingdom, just as the ThatRareGamer gets to Shiveria and is going to start his hunt for the remaining now 8 moons.
Yeah, so since we have enough moons here, you can just go into the boss fight room and grab the one hidden around the corner there and warp right back to the Odyssey.
Yeah, and that boss fight, if you do the boss fight, that's a refight with Rango from the Lake Kingdom, but you're on ice, so it's a little bit tougher to kind of get that consistently. And so, that was one of the story moons we were not looking to route anytime soon, so it stays out of the any percent route, thank God.
And Vallu actually still keeping pace with his personal best. He's only about 5 seconds behind. So a very strong showing from him in this first race of the tournament.
Yeah, so here comes the Luncheon Kingdom, and right at the start of the Luncheon Kingdom, again, is one of those super tough jumps that, is liable to trip up.
Yeah, I would say this one is the toughest
runners
of them all.
Yeah.
Just slightly tighter than some of those other tough jumps we have.
I think with the addition of that first tough jump that Vallu tried to do in the Cap Kingdom, that might be a little tougher than this one, but it's pretty close.
Very true. Yep.
Yeah, but he makes it look like a cakewalk, no problems.
Yeah, as a seasoned runner such as Vallu, he really understands the intricacies of how to get the most height out of his jumps and when to throw his hat, at the peak of the jump.
Yeah, and you really have to have just a feel for that. You can't fake it.
Yeah, you gotta put the time in to get good at those jumps.
The
sure.
3D Mario privilege.
Yeah. So we're gonna get the rematch with Speward here. Virtually the same as the first time we saw him. Just gonna keep hopping on his head before he gets a chance to move.
Yeah, almost all the boss fights are supposed to be harder in some way. There's an additional phase. It's harder to dodge their attacks or whatever. But no, this is just a straight identical fight. The arena is differently shaped and sized, but he never gets to use it because we just fast cycle him, so it's no different really.
ThatRareGamer will tackle this Goomba room as he approaches, the end segment of Snow Kingdom.
Was one of those instances of using motion controls. You can jump with the Goombas, or you can shake the controller to make them do a little spin jump, which gets them extra height. So you only need the one spin jump from the ice platform up to the switch, which activates the moon. So
Yeah, and
nicely
oddly
done
enough,
there.
I do believe it's actually faster to do those little spin jumps as opposed to just running the Goombas as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, I believe it, but all right. Again, every runner loves the motion controls. They're really fun, and engaging, and precise. Love it. But yeah, so Vallu here in the Luncheon Kingdom. There is one routing option which is a little bit of an interesting choice to make. You see a lot of runners choose between two roughly equivalent rooms. I'm going to say that the coin does the Forks room and the Lava Bubble room, or the Podobo room, which is the proper name of the Lava Bubble enemy you take over. So you see a lot of divergence from runners generally on which they prefer, because I think with fastest strats, the Fork room is a second or two faster. So it's generally up to preference and the level of stunt you want to try and pull off. What you choose. Interested to see what Vallu picks here. This Rare Gamer closes out the Snow Kingdom. Vallu's actually doing a little bit of a camera manipulation strat here to spawn this Podoboo there, so it'll be immediately targetable following this moon grab. You don't have to wait for the next cycle of availability.
So it looks like Vallu will opt to go for the Forks room here.
Yeah, and then this is, again, he's a top tier runner. He's going to go for the fastest strats if he can. See if he can...
Little up cap throws.
Yep. Fully manipulating them. Oh, he misses one throw there. I'm trying to fully manipulate the motion controls here to do his bidding. There it is. And then here's Rare Gamer coming up on that nasty jump.
He'll opt for a
he gets
triple
it.
jump. Yeah, he opts for the triple jump as opposed to a backflip or a ground pound jump, because you get just a little bit of extra height out of the triple jumps.
Makes it a little bit of a
gives you
safer
some extra
maneuver.
breathing room for sure.
Yeah.
Just a little bit slower because you got to set up for it and do 3 jumps as opposed to 1.
Still, if you get it the first try as a result, I'm all for it.
Yeah, certainly a better way to make that jump more consistent if you're struggling with it.
Here's the Spewart reboss fight. Hopefully nothing too exciting here. It's same old, business as usual.
Vallu breaks open those cheese blocks, which is the true final boss in this game.
Yeah, that is not a hammer bro, that is a frying pan bro, and he generally throws his frying pans in a pretty random way, and so you're just gonna have to try to spam it and hope that he breaks the one cheese block containing the switch to unlock this moon.
Goes kind of about in every direction other than the one you want to.
A little bit of unfortunate RNG, but every runner has to deal with it, so it's fair. But yeah, a little bit more platforming here before heading up to the final mountain here with the last moons for Vallu.
Get a nice triple jump hat dive up over these rocks to get this moon that's hidden back behind here.
Could look a little funky sometimes when you redirect Mario in midair after a triple jump, because he does a bunch of front flips, while he's doing that triple jump. And you just spin him around in midair while he's doing front flips and get, the big old grin on his face. It looks super silly sometimes. But Vallu's able to become a slab of meat for y'all and head over onto his Grand Moon.
For some reason, that is a Grand Moon without a boss fight.
Yeah, I think that's is that the only Grand Moon you get without a boss fight? Oh my goodness.
I'm not too sure. I'd imagine there's probably another one somewhere, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, most of the other ones you do have to fight a boss for, and to prove your worth, so you can get the 3 moons at once. But that one's to just become meat, and yeah, that's good enough. So there's Vallu closing out the Luncheon Kingdom. It's going to be a little bit behind PB pace here, but certainly not by a lot. Oh my god, yeah, only 8 seconds behind his PB pace. I think that's a pretty darn good showing. If you can, if you stay within 10 seconds of your PB's pace, that's just tough to match for, if
Especially
you're not in the top 10 runners.
yeah, at this high of a level, it's even more impressive because I'd say it takes a lot of hard work to get some of these higher level strats consistent, and Vallu looks like he's done that very nicely.
Yeah, I know he's one of those runners that will just put in a bajillion hours offline, just practicing, making sure he's consistent. Come online and sets a world record or something. The first completed run he does on stream, and everyone's like, "Did you just get a world record in your first?" Yeah, it's like, okay, man, sure.
So ThatRareGamer skipped over to the Forks room there, so it looks like he'll go to the Podobo room at the end of the level. So we'll get to see a little bit of that route variation.
And then here's Vallu. The only a lot of commentators have been calling this an auto scroll boss, and I would tend to agree. This is the only boss in the game that you cannot make faster generally than the intended way of fighting it, except by pulling out these swords on the exact frame that they're available. That's the about the speediest way you can do it. It's a little damage boosting strat there, but it's about as exciting as it gets.
Yeah, really just some micro optimizations in this. But it's a short little 3-minute segment or so.
So here's ThatRareGamer coming up on his final section of Moonseer, including the Podobo room, which we're gonna see displayed for us here. Lighting the torch. And here's the famed room itself. So this is clearly a lot different from the Forks room, but you also do have to use motion controls here to do it fast, but I think it's a little more forgiving as an intermediate stage for some runners, and so this is kind of the preferred room as far as I've seen for the generally like the 115, 112 range of runners.
Yeah, and this is another instance where these little spin dashes are the result of motion controls, whereas just pressing the jump button will get you a much slower and jump with a higher arc to it as well. So it's much more in your interest to do as many of those spin dashes as possible.
Yep, so this is the last moon that ThatRareGamer is going to collect before heading up to complete meat percent and leave the Vanishing Kingdom. As Vallu ties up his Lord of Lightning boss fight, heading on to Bowser's Kingdom itself.
Bowser's Kingdom is really, I think, pretty much everyone would consider the toughest kingdom in this run. There's a lot of tough platforming going on, as well as a bunch of really tricky boss fights that you need to get through.
Yeah, it's basically a gauntlet, a test of will of the speedrunner. Really, it's how consistent can you be without losing heart if you mess up one micro thing here and there, because it is just a pure marathon. Boss fights and platforming to get to them. And Vallu saving some time there, now only 5 seconds within his PB pace. This man is a machine.
So this kingdom is Bowser's Kingdom, that is. You're gonna not do too much sidetracking here. There's 6 moons that you're gonna collect just from doing the story, and this is one of the few kingdoms where this story is mandatory to move on. So you'll get 6 from the story moons, and then you only need 8 to leave the kingdom. So we're just gonna sidetrack and get 2 extra moons along the way. And the game doesn't even tell you that how many moons you need until after you beat the boss at the end of the level. Vallu almost dives right off the edge there.
He's just trying to give you all some anxiety.
But he did go for a cool triple jump strat up onto the top of that enemy. And ThatRareGamer looks like actually has pulled ahead of his PB with that solid Luncheon Kingdom.
Yeah.
So he is behind in the race, but perhaps a good PB for him today.
And that's actually super heartening to see because from the start he's been behind his PB pace every single split. So
Yeah, so really a comeback run here.
He's got to feel good about that Luncheon Kingdom. That was super what he needed. And this is one of those unfortunate, there are faster moons in Bowser's Kingdom available to collect than the moon that you get from collecting these 5 moon shards, but you do have to do this for story progression. You cannot advance further in the level without doing this. And Vallu saves it.
Saves it again.
Oh my goodness, this man.
Taking dancing with death here a couple times in this Bowser's Kingdom. This is kind of what we mean. There's a lot of places that, you're trying to go fast and it's very easy to just fall off. There's a lot of places you're just on these little islands, and if you fall off, you're just going to go straight to your death. There's no, lava that you'll take damage to bounce you back up onto a platform. So, but he's just losing a little bit of time from trying to save himself, but no deaths so far.
Yeah, and deaths in Bowser's Kingdom can especially be punishing because generally runners will bypass all the checkpoints. And so if you do die, you get sent back to the Odyssey or to the last story moon checkpoint that you actually collected, and you just have to retrace your steps doing all this platform again. And there's Vallu taking the bonk.
The death. He flirted with it
one too many times. Yeah, it was bound to happen with that wild abandon he was playing with.
Fortunately, he did just collect a story moon, so he's not really going to get set back very far. But there is still quite a bit of time loss involved in the death and the cutscene afterwards.
But yeah, so Vallu, I don't think you meant to do that, but it's gonna exit that.
I find that whenever I unintentionally recapture that, I wind up shooting back to the other side, and that just frustrates me even more.
That's the worst because you can't turn around. You just have to wait and then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to hold forward to move to the next one, but you recapture it and you're holding forward makes you actually shoot back to the other island.
So here's Vallu fighting one of the 2 brutal fights that you have to do to progress. And this is Harriet. We haven't seen Harriet yet in this speed run because we just kind of bypassed her in the Sand Kingdom, but this is technically a refight. Just no more or less difficult than before, I would say.
And it looks like RareGamer handled the dragon very nicely, so he'll be moving on to join Vallu in the Bowser's Kingdom shortly here.
Ooh, and he almost matched his gold split on Ruin Kingdom there. He loses 1/10 of a second. I think he's okay with that. So this topper refight can be a little tricky because he has so many more hats. Canceling his fast cycle is, dear God, where is the hat that I want? But Vallu's able to pick it out there and wow, no problems, not even a sweat.
I would say that would probably be the toughest brutal fight in this run, personally for me. With as many hats as there are, it's very easy to jump on the wrong one.
Oh yeah, I think that second time that you can cancel the phase there's so many hats they're actually overlapping each other. So if you don't get the hitbox quite that you want, you're just gonna have to sit through it and try to hunt down the correct hat. So here's Vallu making the final climb up the side of the wall to the last boss fight in Bowser's Kingdom. And we saw a little bit earlier these birds that he was able to possess. They're called Pokios, and they have some special properties that we'll see in a little bit. Use them to scale the walls here. For this first jump, Vallu is actually going to not do the normal route. This is a very new reroute.
Oh, wow. I haven't even seen this yet.
Yeah, this is the new moon that replaces the hole in the wall by the moon shards that you used to collect with the Pokio. So this is slightly faster. This is about 3 days old new reroute. So this is pretty fresh. So here is that Pokio. You can shoot out its beak to stick to the wall and fling yourself upward. He's actually using motion controls here to gain a tremendous amount of height with each leap there.
Yeah, so you can actually flick up with motion controls and then do another flick while you're in air to gain just a little tiny bit of extra height, and that'll help him get up there in, maybe one less jump than he otherwise would have needed. And he's going to come up on the final boss fight in the kingdom here. This is one that's kind of notorious for trolling runners. If you're doing the fast strats, that is, you want to try to... He's going to get up here without using Burn, which is the unintended way. He actually takes a
That
Very
is
fast variation
Mhm.
of it that not many people are going for.
Yeah, I think it was Toval or was it Marsh? I think I might have been. Well, it was one of those guys. Well, the strat discoverers that came up with, hey, I think this is slightly faster than the heretofore normal way of doing birdless, and Vallu pulls it out in a race. What a god!
And right on
Oh,
cue,
oh, he does miss though.
he
He's not
falls
able to
off
get
the
on
top.
top.
If you're not careful there, just the way that the Mecha Brutal is charging around, you can get kind of flung off, and it's really unfortunate. Like an ideal fight there, you'd keep ground pounding them and hat jumping back onto the top until you've ground pounded all 4 Brutals. But
And now
he's
I
gonna,
feel like a doofus saying, "Oh, he's a god!" right as he falls off. I'm sorry, Vallu. The
yeah.
commentator's curse strikes again.
So now he's gonna have to wait for this bird, and he'll go up the leg here, just poking the wall, and hopefully he makes it up in time.
Oh, he actually flicks himself downwards instead of using the motion controls. Can he get it? Oh no, he has to wait for the very next cycle.
And that sometimes is, I don't know, I've seen that happen a lot where people try to fling upwards and they actually wind up going the opposite way. Something just weird with the control of the Fokios.
Yeah, it's just that urge to, you can actually ascend using motion controls without touching the control stick and just leave it neutral, but there is that, I want to go up, and so you just naturally move the control stick up without even thinking about it, which
Perhaps a
actually
little bit
flicks
of
you
a panic.
downwards.
But he'll recover there and finish up the fight, still with a healthy lead. So not much harm done. Although I would say, is most likely not on PB pace anymore.
Unfortunately not,
Only
yeah.
5 seconds behind up until that point.
The PB is too good. The movement is too optimized.
Because he probably lost about 20 seconds, I would say, by falling off.
Yeah.
And then, another 5 to 10 seconds by not making the climb back up as fast as possible. So, but, nonetheless, still a really solid run from Vallu. He's more than likely going to come within a minute of his PB, which I think that is kind of like what a lot of people should be striving for in these races. Because you've seen some pretty good consistency with a lot of runners in this game. And I would say within a 1 minute of your PB is a really good race time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, RareGamer not getting the second fast cycle skip here, which, as you said, is super tough to get, especially be consistent with it. But he does get the next best thing you can hope for, really, and has a pretty good Harriet fight and a pretty good Topper fight, and is looking to move on pretty solidly here. Yeah, but there is Vallu looking to be about 50 seconds off PB pace here. Within about a minute. So I still within a minute of your PB going into the Moon Kingdom is just, a testament to consistency. It's quite an accomplishment.
I think another good thing to point out is that looking at the splits for Vallu and RareGamer here, they have about a 1 minute difference in their PBs in Bowser's Kingdom alone, and that's kind of a testament to how tough this kingdom is to do well and to do consistently. His PB is about 5 minutes behind Vallu's, and like 1 minute, 1 full minute of that is one kingdom alone. So this is a point where a lot of people struggle with, and take quite a long time to get good times in this kingdom.
It's just pretty mercilessly brutal on runners trying to, just let me figure out, man, be consistent, and it doesn't want to have any of it. So here up on the Moon Kingdom, you actually are subject to moon gravity, moon physics. And this was found, I think, day one. The game wants you to go over there into that cave and do, a 4 or 5 minute long sequence, but there's actually a Sphinx set up behind it. We can abuse the moon physics to get a wall kick off of a perpendicular wall where normally you can only do it off of parallel walls. It allows you to just ascend up to the platform above all the cave and just not do it entirely. The moon cave skip, and Vallu gets it first try as RareGamer begins his Mecha Brutal fight, looking to do birdless.
And this is its slower variation that we're used to seeing.
Oh, and he gets a little bit of a bonk there. Now he can just get the bird here and knock the mecha down normally the first time and stay on top.
It looks like he will do that. You can actually go back and set up to try to get on top of the mech again, but looks like he's going to opt for a little bit of a backup route here.
Yeah, I think that erases the generally what you should look to do as a strat is, try to do birdless once, maybe twice, but then by that point, a bird has been spat out. It's available to you. Might as well use it if you failed once or twice.
Right, and you don't want to tilt yourself right at the end of the run too much by
Yeah, of course.
failing a tough strat over and over. And he is still on PB pace, so he doesn't want to probably set himself back too far behind by messing with this fight.
No point in doing something super risky that could jeopardize, what you've been working for over an hour.
Yeah, and so he gets back up on for the third cycle with no problem here. So he's gonna get this ground pound in and one more dive back onto the top, and he should be good to go.
He's just gonna play it safe. Since the Mecha Brutal does move quite a bit between each step, it can be really risky to try to do the ground pound in between. It can be in a totally different spot by the time you actually finish the ground pound animation versus when you start it. So he plays it safe, waits it out, and is able to get the hit, gets the final hit on Harriet on top, and closes out the Mecha Brutal fight.
And Vallu once again going for these really fast strats on the Bowser fight that we don't see too many people doing. Just I guess from what I hear, there is a chance to soft block the game from trying to do this, but
yeah,
it is quite a bit faster.
It's just undeterred by that. I'm a minute off PB pace. Whatever. I'm gonna play my best anyway. He's just such a seasoned runner.
So Vallu will come up. Yeah, he'll come up on the final section of the game here. He's going to capture Bowser, and they're going to make their way through and try to escape from the moon, as it's for some reason just floating, I guess.
Yeah, if anyone in chat is curious, you can go to Iwabi's Twitter. He has a video up of what it looks like to soft block on the Bowser fight in Cloud Kingdom. It's kind of hilarious and sad and strange. I don't really know how to describe it. Just go to his Twitter and look it up for yourself. It's a thing to see and try to avoid in your own run. So here's Vallu. Will he do the 2D skip? I think he might. He's gonna go for it.
Probably will go for it.
Yep, there it is. 2D shortcut, and he nails it.
It's not a super tight jump, but obviously if you hit your head on that block above you while you're right over that gap, you will fall to your death. There's nothing you can do to save it. So you really got to make sure you have your timing down in order to do that jump.
Yeah, and falling to your death means you start over from the beginning of when you first start the entire Bowser section, not just that 2D bit there, from the beginning of the whole section. So quite a significant time loss for, maybe a 2-second time save there if you execute it well. But here's the final leg of the game. You can pull out your sour pluses and chat if you want. I'm not saying you have to, but you can if you want. I'm just saying.
So with a well-executed section here, it looks like Vallu can come in with a very high 107 on this run, which I believe is the fastest run we'll have seen so far in this tournament.
Yeah, it very well might be.
So really a strong showing, Vallu. Assuming he doesn't fall in this hole here.
And the Rare Gamer is still closing up Bowser's Kingdom, only 2.5 seconds behind his PB pace. If he has a good Moon Kingdom here, he can very well PB. It is not out of his reach just yet.
Will be a small victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Hey, you take what you can get sometimes. It's if Vallu is within a minute of his PB pace, it's just a rough day to be playing against him.
Yeah, I mean, when your opponent performs this well, there's only so much you can do to have the best run that you can have. And if you have a personal PB, you got to be happy with that kind of performance, I would say. And even if he doesn't PB here, coming as close as he is, it's certainly
for sure,
a good showing.
So Vallu closing out the race with a 107.51 on his screen. Official SRL time of 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 53 seconds. I'm getting word in chat that Samu got a 107.46 in this tournament. So it is
the
not
second fastest run.
It is not the fastest posted time, but it's pretty darn close. Yeah, let's see how that Rare Gamer closes out the end of his run. Let's see if we can't pull Vallu in here as well if he wants an interview.
So we'll see if Rare can get a fast Bowser fight here to keep him in contention. I actually missed if he got the first charging skip or not, but See if you can finish this run strong.
Oh, Samu in chat correcting me. I'm sorry. I bow to your excellent time. I'm sorry. Forgive me, please.
So Samu, the king of this tournament so
The
far.
king
We'll
so
just
far.
say that.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, the fastest times you're going to get will determine your seeding for the bracket phase. So, in a race like this where Vallu was a few minutes ahead for a lot of the run, it was still very much in his best interest to get as good of a time as possible to potentially, because he was the 1 seed overall for the group stage, but he's going to have to get good times to maintain that 1 seed for the bracket phase.
Certainly got a contender in Samu here. Yep, and there's the start of the escape sequence for ThatRareGamer. Hello,
we have
Vallu.
Vallu here now to talk about his run a little bit. So how'd you feel about that overall?
It was alright.
Yeah, I mean, you played within a minute of your personal best, so I'd say that's
Yeah.
a pretty good showing.
Can't complain
especially-
about that.
Yeah, for sure. And it was your first tournament race too, as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so pretty good. And we were just talking, it was actually, I believe, the second fastest time that anyone's put up in the tournament so far. So really a strong start for you.
Yeah. Pretty good.
And
Yeah.
up until you were on PB pace up until that Bowser's Kingdom.
Yeah, I always mess up on Bowser's Kingdom stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough kingdom, so it's definitely
yeah.
understandable to mess up there. But I guess with that kind of play, you probably have another good PB in your near future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Looking to maybe take that world record back soon.
We'll see about that. It's really tough right now, but
Yeah, I mean the competition is there's a lot of people up there with really good times and pushing them further every day, it seems like. So it's been tough to keep up.
Yeah, I'm confident I can at least take second place.
Yeah, I mean, all these new strats keep getting developed, and we saw you doing that new super tough jump going to the left at the beginning, in Cap Kingdom right before that boss fight, and I was surprised to see it so soon after the community started talking about it. That was pretty bold to pull it up in a race,
Oh yeah, I did mess that up, but yeah, it works out usually. It's not super consistent yet, but I'll get there.
Yeah, it was just super impressive to see all that stuff, mere days or sometimes even hours before, or after they're, released to the public knowledge, so to speak.
Well, yeah, with some practice, anything can be consistent really quick.
For sure. So how do you feel about stuff like Sphinx Clip as well? Do you have that kind of stuff pretty consistent at this point?
I think Sphinx Clip is consistent. I feel pretty comfortable about Sphinx Clip now.
So you think it's definitely worth going for at your kind of level of play?
Yeah, it's worth it. I think it's the only consistent clip right now with the new clip technique. If you do it from the right place, you will always get it. So it's
I
really
guess
nice.
what helps it is you have that fixed camera angle.
Yeah, you have a really good setup.
So because it is, in my opinion, it is one of the tougher clips to do. But I guess with that fixed camera angle, once you kind of have your setup and know how to do it, it would be more consistent than the others.
Yeah, exactly.
And to change the subject just a little bit, ThatRareGamer did finish with an on-screen time of 1:12:52, which is a 4-second PB for him. His official SRL time is a 1:12:57, but hey, a PB is a PB. That's awesome to see. Congratulations. See if you can't pull him in here for an interview as well.
Actually finishing with a gold split on the Moon Kingdom there.
Yeah,
so
that's
really clutched it out at the end.
That's really nice to see.
That's sick.
So you guys kind of have you only have to do 2 races, don't you? Because you have like kind of a weird group.
Yeah, there's only 3 people in my group.
Yes, because I think there was 126 people that signed up for the tournament, and like 128 would make a nice even like 4 people group in every group. But since you were the first overall seed, you kind of you have one less race, and I don't know if that's necessarily an advantage or not. Like, how do you feel? Do you wish you had an extra race in there?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, because I guess
the bracket with less races, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the times will be based on like the average run because of that for the bracket seating. So I guess you only have to perform really well in 2 races as opposed to 3, which kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, it's gonna be really fun to see how the rest of this month plays out and see how the bracket, fleshes out. Oh, you can do an extra run. Interesting. Oh, so just like a run on their own.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Oh,
so
I'm not really sure how this works exactly.
If I'm understanding Mythical correctly, since you don't have a 4th opponent to race against, you can just submit a 3rd race against no one and submit that as your 3rd time, against no opponent. So you'll win the race, but you can submit that time for seeding.
Oh, do I have to do that?
That's a good question. We'll give you don't have to. You don't have to.
Okay. So just, I guess, providing the option in case people wanted to get that 3rd run. If they don't perform as well as they did on the first race they did, maybe they want to try to do a 3rd run to pull their average time down, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to handle it. I wish we could have gotten just 2 more people to sign up to make it a nice and even bracket. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just make more people play the game. Easy.
Well, isn't this one of the most popular speed games right now?
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game's been out for less than 2 months, and it's already like a top page game on speedrun.com. So that's like that's something we've never really seen before, I don't think.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the community's been going pretty ham on this game from day one. It's been quite a sight to see.
Yeah, it actually has the 4th most players on speedrun.com. It's already passed stuff like Super Metroid and Super Mario World and Link to the Past, which are, have just been really strong communities in the speedrunning overall community for many years. So it's really cool to see such a new game really blow up like this. It's been a lot of fun. Just having so many people around, and we've been able to push the game so far in such a short period of time. It's really crazy.
Yeah, the game is already super optimized.
Yeah, so I guess, what do you think is like a reasonable time for the world record to get pushed down to over the coming months without like any major strat changes?
I'm not exactly sure. Like, it can probably be pushed down by at least like 20 seconds still. I've seen the world record run, and there weren't that many mistakes, so I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't know if something like 104 would be possible right now, humanly possible.
I feel like we've kind of like we've been saying this like ever since the game came out, like, oh, like we can save another minute, and then maybe like it'll start to slow down. But it just seems like it just keeps going down, and I'm not really sure where all this time save is coming from, but it's really cool.
I remember distinctly, Shaden got the 106. I was like, okay, well, I mean, he can shave it, because it was like a mid to high 106. And he's like, oh, he can shave it down a little bit, but he's not going to get a 105. And then 2 days later, he got a mid 105. It's like, okay, well, sure, I guess.
And like, kind of the meme is people saying like, oh, when is sub 1? And like 3 weeks ago, I'd have been like, yeah,
sub
right,
1 is
sub 1 is like, sub 1's never going to happen. But like, I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but I can't like say it won't happen, Like, there's so much that we don't know about this game still, even with as much as we've optimized it to this point, that I just can't bring myself to say it's not going to happen at some point.
It'll be super interesting to keep track of, and see where exactly the time save will be, because I'm sure we'll find some one way or another, at least a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of new stuff could be found to make any person faster. It's just the way you beat levels in this game that makes
Yeah.
skips not really that helpful.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, the dream of like an entire kingdom skip is pretty much just dead. Like, it would have to be
Yeah.
something super abstract. I've been saying like nothing, like none of the obvious ideas, like oh, get to one of the paintings and skip to another kingdom, like that. Those dreams are pretty much completely dead. So it would have to be something really weird and strange to get a big time save like that.
Yeah, I have no idea what kind of stuff could be found.
But yeah, I mean, as is the case with pretty much all Mario games, it's just going to come down to movement optimization, and that's really all you can do.
Oh yeah, there's a comment in chat. If someone found a moon get cutscene skip, they might do it.
That's a fair point. That would take
Yeah.
out a lot of time.
That's because there's so many moons you grab.
Yeah, that's
mean-
true.
I mean, each moon grab cutscene is at least like a couple seconds, and there's 124 of them.
I believe it's 3.5 seconds to be specific.
3.5. Yeah, so that
for
would take
regular
out
one.
multiple minutes right there, I would say. But
Yeah.
that would be interesting if
Yeah.
someone found a way to do that.
You never know what's gonna come up, what's not, But yeah, I think that's about all the comments I have for the end of race here. It was GG's for both our runners here. Really impressive showings all around.
Yeah,
And nice.
GG, and congrats to Rare for the PB.
Yeah, exactly. Always good to see the PBs in the race. But yeah, I guess we're about ready to wrap things up here. Keep your eyes locked on the speed gaming channels throughout the rest of this month and going into the new year. We're gonna have races nearly every day. Okay, I guess there's another Odyssey race at midnight. So if you still want to watch some races, there'll be one on for you in just a little bit here. Follow Vallu and ThatRareGamer. They're both running the game consistently. You can follow the commentators, myself and Okra. Plenty of people playing this game at all hours of the day, so you can always get your fix of Mario Odyssey if that's what you're looking for. And yeah, I guess thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the races throughout this month.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Vallu.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, for sure. GG's all around to everybody.